Welcome to All Pro Football Data. My name is Jim Coburn, and today's episode we're talking about Darius Robinson, interior defensive lineman from Missouri. We're going to be looking at his production data profile and other statistical factors. One interesting fact about Robinson is a member of Roseville High School's all-decade team at the linebacker position. So he was a linebacker in high school, and of course went on to become a really big and impressive defense tackle prospect. So let's get into a couple of data points for him. What I do for interior defense alignment is defensive market share. Defensive market share is where you take an individual statistic and divide it by the team total. So if a defensive tackle had 5 sacks on a team that had 25 sacks, then based on that number, he would have basically 20% sack market share. That number is then compared to every single defensive tackle performance since the 1989 NFL draft class to give you an idea of how productive he was for his team. And there also have been strong correlations to scoring higher in those particular metrics. So what do I mean by that? Well, looking at the data, the All-Pro average for defensive tackle prospects, specifically 3-4 defensive ends, is in the 90-plus percentile. So the average solo tackle market share scores in the 90-plus percentile. The SAC and TFL scores are in the 92 percentile in terms of market share. And when you look at Darius Robinson, he's really close to those numbers. He was 89 percentile in terms of solo tackles, 88 percentile in terms of his sack market share, and 86 percentile in terms of his tackle for loss market share. All of those numbers are within the starter averages at the position. They don't quite hit the Pro Bowl averages or the All-Pro averages at the position, but he's really close to where he needs to be. And also, this data set has 1,729 defensive tackle prospects since the 1989 NFL draft class, which is a pretty large number of defensive tackles to compare him to. So, with all that stuff done, let's go to some more market share data. So this is the efficiency scores for him. So this is the other stats. Things like forced fumbles, pass deflections, interceptions. These market share scores for Darius Robinson were kind of hit or miss, but he did have an impressive interception market share score, which was in almost near the 80 percentile in terms of that particular metric. And then his fumble market share and pass deflection market share scores were kind of below average. So overall, his efficiency scores, or the extra data that he put in at the defensive tackle position, were not elite, but they definitely have some decent things here or there. Moving on to adjusted production score. So adjusted production is basically contextual production. These scores take into account things like the market share score, strength of schedule, and strength of team to give you an idea of how productive were they for their age, how productive were they for the team that they were on, and how productive were they for the level of competition that they faced. And based on those scores, Darius Robinson actually tested pretty well in terms of his MSA rating and pass rating. He had a 90-plus percentile MSA rating, 87 percentile in terms of his pass rating. His age score was 46.73. That is more of a placeholder age because I don't know his exact age yet. If he does test in younger, his numbers are actually going to improve a lot. But this is kind of where he's at right now based on the general age score I have for him right now, which is kind of near the average area in terms of most defensive tackle prospects. Then, of course, when you get to his comparables, these are the defensive tackles who, based on his overall data, tested most similar to him. Guys like Michael Dogby, Sheldon Rankins, Vance Walker, Jarrell Casey, Malcolm Brown, Devin Steele, Senderick Marks, Rashawn Gary, and Capron Lewis Moore are the defensive tackles who tested most similar to Darius Robinson. That's not a bad group to be in at all, especially if a guy like Jarrell Casey. And I think when you look at the MSA rating for Darius Robinson, if his age does improve, I think he might be closer to Jarrell Casey than he is to guys like Vance Walker and these other sort of players in this area. But overall, the outlook for Darius Robinson is this. He profiles as a starter to Pro Bowl defensive tackle based on his data. The biggest question mark in his data is how old he really is, as I gave an estimated age score for him as a senior. He could score much higher if his age was younger, but he should be considered a top 3 to 5 interior defensive lineman in this class, especially at the 3-4 defensive end or 5 technique position, which is a very rare position to kind of slot guys into. But he put up the data. He has the right physique for that position because you typically need guys who are a little bit longer in terms of their arm length and their range. And I think he fits that role really well in that particular scheme. And I'm really excited to see where he ends up at. So with all that stuff out of the way, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. My name, of course, is Jim Coburn, and you can check out my Twitter page at Jimetrics, at Jimetrics. And you can also check out my Patreon page, patreon.com/jcoburn. Definitely consider becoming a patron, because if you become a patron, you'll get access to a lot of videos earlier than everybody else. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.